Yep.
With the Star Wars line, in the past, the vintage line was usually priced higher. Is that going to stay the same with this extended version of it now?
That's an excellent question. Kind of follows the last question a little bit. Actually, we've overhauled our pricing strategy for basic figures on Star Wars. You're actually going to see that the prices on the Clone Wars and the Saga Legends are actually going to come down by about, retailers haven't moved there yet, but our recommendation is that the price come down by about $1. Vintage will not be at the $9.99 price it was before. It came with a clamshell. We've taken away the clamshell. So we've been able to reduce the price. But they'll be out at the current price that the Droid Factory is $7.99. That price won't change just because so much new tooling and deco and attention to detail is needed in those figures. We have to have that little higher price. So you'll see that the kid targeted figures are a little lower, and vintage will come in about $7.99, right where the legacy figures are now.
Okay. Where's the mic over here? Yeah.
Back to the vintage Star Wars stuff coming out. If those figures are now going to not have the clamshell and they're sort of aimed significantly at mint-on card collectors, are they still going to have the old style punch, or are they going to have a J-hook?
They will have the old style punch that's reinforced with the new plastic piece that we built, so people are not going to just rip it off the peg. But it will be merchandised like the old school ones were.
Right, so there won't be any unpunched cards floating around?
There won't be unpunched cards floating around because when they take them out, they're probably not going to survive transport, I think, and being hung on the pegs. That's a good question. I don't know what they're going to look like in the case packs when they get to retail. And whether
the cases have unpunched cards in them and then they'll get punched on the peg, or will they just be empty?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that to the same extent that do regular Clone Wars figures or Saga Legends figures show up with unpunched things that fall off, right? But the plan is that they'll fall out so retailers can put them on the shelf, but I don't know how they're going to show up in case packs. If I can take one more minute on vintage, because I actually omitted something that's pretty critical that you guys will need to know. The vintage line will not just consist of basic figure parts. There will be 3 vehicles in the course of the year that we showed here that will come out in special vintage limited package versions to recreate the original Kenner package identically with the new product. So it's not just a celebration of figures, but that as well. The important one, I won't talk about 2 of them, but the AT-AT will be coming out in a limited run of that in vintage style. And that'll be a Toys R Us exclusive. We're trying right now to get it in for August. It probably will not be there, so it'll be there probably hopefully in September. That's an important thing to note, because if you're, to pass along to your collectors, because if, we don't want them to say, I'm going to buy one AT-AT and then not know that the vintage version, if that's really what they want, that's going to be available too. Same product in both, just different package.
Go in the far back.
This is a question for the whole panel. First off, great presentation again, another great year. Do you classify your lines, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, as toys or collectibles?
They're toys.
Yeah, they're toys.
They're toys, but the important designation is we design them ideally to appeal to both audiences. But sometimes on Star Wars, Cantina aliens, for example, they don't resonate with kids the way they resonate with us. So we design with the collector's sensibility to make sure we have touch points that are relevant to all audiences. But primarily they're toys. We're not doing what Gentle Giant or Sideshow does. They need to function as toys, be durable as toys, play, hold up during play, and really we win when we design something that delights both audiences.
And if I can actually, even just from a Transformers perspective, that as fans of our brand, they know that there's been 26 years of history behind it. So how we actually deliver to our fans is creating stories and characters and reimagining them that go all the way back to G1, celebrate that heritage. So there is a bit of that collectability, but at the end of the day, they're meant to be played with and be toys.
Yeah, in Marvel, we kind of use the mantra collect the cool kid appeal. So, we were all kids, growing up, and we gravitated towards it. And so we kind of geared into the kids like us. So the toys were.
Great. Up in the back.
For the Star Wars team, I was a little surprised to see the card redesign for Clone Wars and the movie line still look so similar, because there's not a man or woman working at Target, Toys R Us, or Walmart that can differentiate the two when they come out of the case. If it says Star Wars on it, man, they're lousy with, you know, one thing and can't tell the difference between those SKUs. Can you talk about why still keeping them so similar?
Yeah, the Lucasfilm really sets the packaging direction, and all of these comments have been taken into consideration in the process. Ideally, we would have something that's very, very different visually. The problem is when we take it to retailers, we show them a line, the line really has to hang together and look like a Star Wars section. We've got some things that stand apart, but to have too many of those things stand apart really doesn't make for a good visual segmentation of the brand. So we looked at Saga Legends and Clone Wars, which are really the two we showed, and said, if we get the orange stripe, that's really going to help, because we knew that vintage already stands alone. That's a good thing. So we've got a better story than we had last year, and we had three things that look very similar. At least we've got color banding on one, and the third line now stands totally apart. So there's going to be no mistake on vintage. So I think we're moving in that direction has helped. But I think we'd all agree that we would ideally like more, but we have to take our cue from what the licensor really is directing.
All right, I think we have time for one more, and it's right over here. Yep.
For the Star Wars folks, now that we've seen the AT-AT, and Daryl, you always talk about that you're years advanced ahead of what we know. Can we now start speculating that there will be a large vehicle for 2011, and do you want to give us any clues as to what you might be working on?
Nice try.
I was broad and vague.
Right now, we don't know. Truly, we don't know. We certainly hope so. We'd like to think that there's a follow-up for that. Whether we can still look at that $100 price point or not, I think a lot of that depends on how we continue to do that. So we don't have any details on that right now. It'll probably be a year from now if we do talk about something.
We all want a Java barge.
A Java sailboat. We do too.
Well, sorry, we have to cut this a little, not short, but we have to cut it off right now because we want to get you folks downstairs. And you'll obviously have time to ask questions of these folks while you're down there.